What's going on, my beautiful people from YouTube? Let's talk about passive income generation, even in a crappy market like we're in right now. Yeah, that's right. We can still be profitable in a market that is garbage, right? Right now, we're in this crappy bear market, but this is where opportunities really are. If you really stop and look for it and think about it, there's a ton of things that have made, me money. And this new one is just another one that I think is going to be really worthwhile because of the people behind it. And I'll start out by giving you all the disclaimers. And I'll cover a couple of disclaimers. First, nobody's paying me to say this. I haven't gotten anything out of this. I straight up told the guy, I was like, hey, I'm going to talk about this. I don't care what happens, because I am going in it head first myself, and I'm only willing to talk about things that I'm willing to do with my own money. So I'm putting my own, money where my mouth is on this one and sharing with you guys what I'm doing. Secondly, I'll do giveaways, as I love to do on this channel. I'm gonna mint an NFT here on this video, and I'll show you how to do it yourself. And for one of you guys to leave a comment down below, I'll go ahead and actually draw one of those comments and give you all an NFT, because I think it's worthwhile to kind of spread the word, share a little bit of these things, because it does go a long way if you just sit back and invest into the right things. This is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing myself, and I'm just going to give it away to you guys because I think it's cool. I think it's worthwhile. I think it's something that I can stand behind and believe in. Not only myself, but a bunch of other YouTubers as well. And we never get anything wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But I've talked about this before. It's about the team. It's about the people behind it. And the main person behind this one is no other than Alex. Tactical investing. You guys know him from YouTube, I'm sure. Like a lot of the people that came to my channel came from his channel. He's not only somebody that I can, stand behind, make fun of. He's a good dude, and I know that his plans are real, or more than anything, pure, right? Like that's a cool thing that I see from him. And I can sit here and explain a bunch of things to you guys about this fractional mining, project that he is putting together. But instead I said, hey, can we just have a conversation and let people listen in the questions that I have for you? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, switch over to a conversation between me and Alex, and you guys can hear from him exactly where this is going, the why behind it, because that is so critical in my opinion. I talk about how I am willing to put money on things if I know who's leading it, who's behind it. And this is the case here. Not only am I doing this, there's a bunch of other YouTubers doing the exact same thing, which I think it speaks volumes. Let's be serious. I don't think there's any other project out there. I mean, you're talking about collaboration between YouTubers. We're just hanging out the other weekend, playing games, having a conversation, and giving stuff away to you guys. It's something special. It means a lot to me personally, and I want to make sure you guys understand it, why that is the case. So let's just go over to Alex and have him tell you the answers to the questions that I'm sure he does not expect me to ask. So let's go. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk to the person who actually is behind it all, who's been tirelessly working on building something for you. Alex, thank you so much for joining me. And even after I've made fun of you on the channel, it's just a good time being able to connect and actually talk about things that matter. Because here's the deal. You don't have to do this at the end of the day. Like, I can pick up the phone right now and get you 4 or 5 different VCs that will give you the cash to do this whole thing that you're planning on doing.
Yeah.
Why not focus on something like that? Why not just take money, in bulk and move forward with whatever it is that you want to do? Why are you creating a platform for an average everyday person to join in the earnings of Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, because we've actually been approached by a couple of companies already. The money for Bitcoin mining is definitely a lot more available and a lot more prominent in the business to business aspect, right? You have venture capital firms or hedge funds that have approached us for hosting. We've got big companies that have approached us for hosting. But the main thing for us, and the way that we've looked at it, the way I've looked at it, is we want to bring it to the individual, right? Because all these companies, there's plenty of opportunity for them. We wanted to break down the barriers to entry for the average consumer, because that's what's been missing for the large part within Bitcoin mining, specifically in crypto, specifically in and of itself, is not everyone has, back in bull run of last year, $10,000 to spend on a Bitcoin miner, or $50,000 on a Kadena miner. And so being able to break down those barriers for the average at-home enthusiast has been a passion of both mine and our teams. And that's kind of why we're so much focused on it.
So I'm really glad we didn't prep or plan the things that I would say or you would say, because I get to ask you questions literally live, and you're like, "Oh, okay, let's go there." You sound like a scammer. That's what I'm going to tell you. You sound like a scammer. Like, we can have more money, but we want your money instead. How much money did you give away last year, or this year, technically?
Yeah, so technically over the last year, I've given away right around $10,000. Now, that's not directly in BTC. A lot of it has been through, different miners. It's been a lot of different methods. But it's definitely, for me, I've had a couple of interviews, one with Torrin Hoffman on his channel, is what is the purpose behind all this? Why are you what drives you, right?
That's what I want to get to. Exactly.
Yeah. And so it was kind of me being able to tell him my backstory of why I'm so focused on the opportunity to give away. Because, like you said, most people are like, oh, money doesn't matter. Well, for me, money does matter, but it's really impact that matters most. And where am I going to see the most impact? Is that on a one company basis, or is that on 100 people that has a much broader impact? That's what drives me. It's not the money, it's the impact. I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. And that's why I want to bring that up, because a lot of people don't get that. It's there's tons of opportunities for people to do this whole mining thing on their own if they can acquire the right funds, if they can get the right backing. And at the end of the day, it's something that you could be doing, but instead you're over here partnering up, with everybody to make it a good experience. I mean, we were just having a good old time last weekend, playing games and, just chatting it up. And it's you're taking time out of your day to do something that you wouldn't have had to do had you gone the VC route, had you gone, some other way. And to me, that's beyond noble, because it's the reason why I'm talking to you right now. It's because I do believe not only in what you're building, but in you. That's, to me, what it boils down to. But I want to hear from the horse's mouth. I don't want to try to explain something, sure, that you're going to do so much better at. So tell me, fractional mining is a great idea. Why does it work, and why does it work really well the way you're doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, when it comes to fraction mining, and the way that I've typically introduced it is there's kind of two faucets, but they're built on the similar backbone. And the backbone of fraction mining is specifically flare and the opportunity for us to capture natural gas, methane, and convert that into energy. Now, I won't really focus on the business to business aspect, because that's in and of itself a whole separate thing. But we have that specifically. We're working with real world partners, hosting companies in the United States for mining. And then we're also working with several crypto projects that are looking to generate a real form of yield, something that's been missing in the crypto space, specifically the DeFi space, for a long time. So, we have several crypto projects, some very well known in this space, coming in with, anywhere between, $25,000 up to $500,000, wanting to get access to what we have to offer. Now, on the customer side of things, and the fraction mining as a project, where the impact really is going to be had, is really the focal point of the company. So specifically, the backbone of fraction mining, that being Flare, is what makes all of this make sense, and makes it where it's an opportunity that we see the impact broader than typically the end consumer, or really what people will see on the very surface level. Because right now you've got the World Bank Organization pushing for ZRF, which is zero routine flaring, by 2030. So they're saying, hey, we want all countries in the world to partner up with us and get rid of flaring around the world in the next 7 years. So you look at this and you say, how do you solve a problem like this? And you see ExxonMobil get into Bitcoin mining by capturing through a pilot company called Crucial Energy in North Dakota, by capturing that flare, converting converting natural gas into energy to power Bitcoin mining. So ExxonMobil mines Bitcoin that way. And you're removing the flaring aspect by capturing what would normally be flared, converting it into electricity and making it much, much cleaner. So when you've got a narrative right now that exists for Bitcoin mining, that Bitcoin's mining is bad for the environment, it's terrible for on-grid. You have all these bad misconceptions about Bitcoin mining, and all of a sudden, you now have a problem with flare, whereas problem with flares exists for a long time, right? But you've got the narrative that has been spun and showcased specifically in New York, and now you're looking at this and saying, you've got a flare problem, you're able to remove the flare with Bitcoin, and in 8 years, our goal is to showcase that Bitcoin was the solution all along that the world was looking for from an environmental standpoint, just from an environmental standpoint, not the impact on Bitcoin outside of environment, but how was flaring solved worldwide? And it's through mining Bitcoin, right? A lot of people don't perceive that, but the UK recently came out, a lot of complaints through a lot of articles saying there's so much flaring in just the UK that there's enough to power 700,000 homes. Now imagine with the amount of flare just in the United Kingdom, how much of that flare you could capture just from an environmental impact. But on top of that, the jobs that would be created if it was mined with Bitcoin, or you took that energy, mined Bitcoin, or used it as a form of energy for something that was worthwhile. So the way we're looking at it is from an environmental standpoint, traction mining is huge. It really, really is. And in many ways, it's an understatement, but we've seen the success that ExxonMobil, by far one of the largest oil companies in the world, why would ExxonMobil do this outside of seeing the future and where the impact can be had?
Money.
So that's more money, right? But then you've seen recently a lot of attacks on oil companies, right? It's oil company, I realize, right? Everyone has their own agenda when it comes to attacking certain companies based on their environmental impacts. But now ExxonMobil can say, hey, we're having a positive impact on the environment by capturing what normally would emit carbon, and now it's not, right? So you've got companies.
So that's like the public facing side of things, right? It's like, hey, this is good because we are now greener than before. And then on the shareholder side, they're going, and it's good because it's money for us.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, right? So that's the way, when you see a successful company and a large company like ExxonMobil do it, you kind of get that form of validation that this is where it's going to be headed. We saw Shell get into the liquidity cooling kind of side of things. I presume probably in the next several years, Shell will probably take advantage of this opportunity as well to get involved in flare. So that's kind of on the broad scope of things. But in the end, and that's the backbone. The beauty behind flare is it's a waste. It's a complete trash for oil producers. They see absolutely no value in it. That's why for most of your oil sites that that pump out oil is the value. And it's too expensive for a lot of these companies to put pipes out to capture the natural gas, the methane and all that, clean it up and sell it. So they just burn it on site, and they'll pay the costs and the fees to be able to do that. So because the oil is way more valuable. So when you have someone that comes in and says, hey, we'll pay you for something that you consider to be absolutely trash, and now they're getting value for something they just burned off, right? So that allows us to be able to gain something that they perceive no value in at extremely minimal cost. It's very hard to find. You won't find anything cheaper when it comes to the opportunity of flare, outside of maybe like volcanoes and the opportunity from something like that, because it's a natural process, right? And so with something that's completely natural, that someone considers to be a waste, and you're paying someone for their trash, like the foundational cost of that is next to zero.
And a lot of people don't understand, like, they have to burn it because just releasing the methane into the atmosphere is worse, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that. They're like, "Oh, you're burning up stuff. It's not good for the environment." It's like, no, no, no. It would have been a
It's
lot
good.
worse if
Yeah.
they didn't burn it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, if you're coming in and you're saying, hey, you no longer have to burn this, you no longer have to worry about it. We'll provide the infrastructure and we'll pay you for that energy. And you have, this is their passive income, right? They have to do absolutely nothing except say, hey, yeah, you can utilize the land and you can set up your infrastructure, no problem. And you pay them, your contract agreement, if you will. At that point, you're both parties at that point are winning from an environmental standpoint and from a monetary standpoint.
Now, talking about the monetary standpoint, as an end user purchasing these NFTs,
Mhm.
maybe to sell them because people are going to see more and more value on these things, or maybe it's getting the whole membership thing. Um, to me, it makes a lot of sense personally because being in Southern California, they call it sun tax, but my peak electricity rates is 69 cents, which is not nice.
Yeah. I was bad in Kansas. So in our summer, it's 15 cents. And then they drop it to 11 cents in the winter. So I thought it was bad for us. But
No, you're
yeah,
you're living it up over there with that rate. Like it gets to be crazy in some parts of the country.
it's insane.
The cost, like it does not make sense for me to mine anything at home unless I'm able to produce the electricity. Like I have my entire roof filled with solar panels, and I can only, I mean, I run one ASIC at home, and I use the heat to heat up the place
Yeah.
because I have to justify it somehow. Otherwise, just doesn't make sense financially speaking. At almost 70 cents a kilowatt hour when it's peak times. It's crazy. It doesn't add up. And this brings a way for people, everyday people, and that's what I love about it. Everyday people to be able to get something that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to access or be exposed to because it's a lot of cost. Let's be serious. Like it's not cheap to get something like this going. To be able to approach somebody that is dealing with flare, and say, hey, let's partner up as an individual. That's nearly impossible for you to approach one of these big guys and go. They're gonna go, who are you? Like
Yeah.
we need way more money and infrastructure to make this happen. And now you're looking at bringing this to the average user, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
Where does it go? When does it start? Like, give me a little bit of the details for the people that actually do want to do this, that don't have the ability of mining at home, just like me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a good point with the electricity cost, right? Because that when we looked at like why are we doing this, right? And it was three barriers to entry predominantly, right? You can maybe afford the miner, right? You can right now. Most people can probably afford it. It's a lot more affordable than it was last year. But even if you can afford it, you may not be able to affordably run it. And then at that point, you're out of the picture. And then lastly, depending on noise and heat and stuff like that, a lot of people just don't want that in the house. Or if you're in an apartment, you don't have 240 volts more often than not, and your landlord would probably kick you out if you spun up one of these ASICs. So, that for us, seeing because there are some kind of solutions out there right now, but they still then bring in the aspect of having the entry costs, like hosting companies. You still have to pay $3,000 or $4,000. So usually it's one thing or another that keeps people out of something that's bigger than ourselves, right? And that's the barriers we want to break down. So right now, what we have right now in action is you have the membership NFTs. Those are live. We launched those. We launched enough from our perspective because we are getting into Bitcoin mining. We're going to get into your favorite Kadena, and we're going to get into other opportunities as well. But for the time being, you have the membership NFTs. Those are live. The BTC NFTs are launching the 20th of December. And all that's on our join the Discord, on our Twitter, and all that.
Yeah, and I got the magic editing thing, and I'll put a link down below.
Nice.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to show everybody how to mint and what the website looks like because I think it's just a worthwhile for me. And like I try to do this every time. Like whenever I talk about things on the channel, it's not about like you should do this, and it's like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm not willing to talk about something unless I'm willing to do it myself or explicitly say, hey guys, these people are paying me to talk to you about this. You know what I mean? So, like, I haven't gotten anything from you, Alex. Like, I'm literally going to go over there and mint this thing myself because it's something I want to be a part of. It's something that I want to make sure that I'm benefiting from long term. And I'm not saying that you are it's not a security. You're not promising the world here. You're just saying you're going to get hash rate with an NFT. That's what it is, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that's one of the things that has been a predominant aspect of fraction mining from a regulatory standpoint is making sure that we align within current regulations. And that's something that who knows where we're going to be in 5 years, right? Who knows where we're going to be in 10 years when it comes to regulation. But that's where adaptation comes into play and adopting to the new norms, where regulation was 5 years ago, it's definitely different than where it is today. So, from an aspect of something like that extent, the NFTs are very similar to contract agreements when you're purchasing so much hash rate, and it's just being visualized via an NFT.
All right, so let's have a fun question here to kind of close things out with.
Perfect.
Let's say tomorrow was the 20th and it sells out in 10 minutes, given the website can handle it. What's next when that happens? What's next when everything gets minted out and you're going, oh, okay, I guess we're going to move forward faster than whatever. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So at that point, we have a couple of things into play. So we'll be expecting the BTC NFTs are going to be starting off with around 10 to 12 terahash per NFT. Is kind of what we're expecting. We'll have around 40 to 45 petahash overall as far as mining. So about 4 to 5 Bitcoin per month is kind of what we expect starting off. We expect that to increase. Full build out will probably be upwards of 15 to 20 Bitcoin a month. I don't think that's very low expectations, but with the network increase and current market conditions, I think it's reasonable. So after that, the process of everything getting online, everything getting turned on, and the rewards the Bitcoin being mined specifically, we're looking at a February timeframe. So about 2 months turnaround timeframe is what we're expecting, and then everything at that point will be operational. And then we have now officially broken down the barriers to mining Bitcoin for the average end consumer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about what you guys are up to. It's honestly something that I have looked for and have not seen anybody really do it well, especially with Bitcoin. I've seen some other projects trying to do it with Kadena and things of that nature that are more niche. But again, cost of miners, like while they've been buying these, have been through the roof, and now it just seems like a good time to pick some of these things up and kind of get going with it. You did mention KDA earlier. What's the plan for other tokens? Like, I know you're starting out with Bitcoin. It's safe, reliable. You're going to get the most reach with it.
Sure.
Where are you going to go? When is the next one coming up?
Yeah, so we were looking at Kadena and we're looking at Litecoin Doge merge mining. So originally we were very excited because we wanted to see really the direct impact of the KA3s coming online. So at that point we're like, well, in March we'd probably look at Litecoin Doge. Now we've gotten word that Bitmain is pausing productions on the L7s for the next 6 months. Now that caused us to do a little bit more kind of background discovery on what would cause them to specifically do this. We knew that all along Doge was making plans to possibly move to proof of stake. And then after kind of seeing some recent developments on their timeline and knowing that Vitalik Buterin is helping Doge move to proof of stake, if Doge moves to proof of stake, the L7s are going to be worthless. You're talking about going from profitability of like $15 on average per day right now to sub $1. And so the way that we looked at it is right now, I think Bitmain learned their lesson from the E9. They launched the E9 like a month or two before Ethereum moved to proof of stake, and a lot of money lost there. And so I think they're evaluating this very similarly, and they're looking at it and saying, hey, let's wait until a decision gets made, because the Doge community has to vote on the approval of Doge to move to proof of stake. If Doge doesn't move to proof of stake, then I think we can have the kind of the mindset of the go ahead mentality. But for now, it's not a risk worth taking. So that's why we're looking at the Kadena launch more than likely late March, early April. And that's where I'm going to be launching the Kadena mining aspect. Now, we've looked at other things outside of Kadena. Obviously, Kadena has the higher risk, higher reward opportunity. They're definitely, I think we both kind of agreed on this through our prior conversations. Kadena needs to see a lot more development to facilitate a long-term trajectory. So I think there's value in Kadena, but we need to see full implementation. Now, we have looked at Nervos CKB with the new K7 that launched. That's very exciting for us. I'm a big fan of Nervos. I think we could, in a bull market, if Nervos sees more development, if Nervos sees some more interest from their ZK rollups, we could see a Kadena-esque, if you will, opportunity through Nervos. Will it happen? Will it not? No one knows until something does happen. But I think there's a lot of underpinning value behind the Nervos ecosystem, and seeing Bitmain get into Nervos mining is exciting. When Bitmain got into Kadena mining, they blew everybody else out of the water. They're doing that same thing with Nervos. Both of those communities are much smaller with the Kadena and the Nervos, so I'll have to kind of evaluate those individually different than how we're evaluating Bitcoin in the Bitcoin community. So that's something that we're looking at. Nervos may or may not be an option. We'll have to look at where we are about 6 months from now, but we'll definitely be doing Kadena.
So these miners, that the BTC ones, are they getting hosted inside of containers, or is there a facility? And there's I'm leading up to another question with that answer.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so the Bitcoin miners are going to be in specifically designed mining containers.
Okay. So that means that if you do choose to expand to a different token to be mined, you can set up, all right, let's, give it a trial run, one container with miners, or one container with half of, let's say, Nervos and half with, KDA miners, right? I mean, there is a possibility of going kind of that route too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you bring up a great point. We've coined the phrase as a DCS, a decentralized compute service. So what that would mean is for individuals that don't want to have that want to be less risk adverse, right? And they want to have because it can't be an ETF, an exchange traded fund, right? So we were like, how do we coin a different phrase to facilitate a term that's based on proof of work crypto that would make sense for a decentralized container of different proof of work cryptos? And we're like, DCS. It's nothing fancy, but we find it to be kind of enjoyable as thinking of a different term, because that also offers a more diversified opportunity for those that don't want just Bitcoin, that don't want just the Kadena, that don't want just the Nervos. They want a little bit of all.
We nerd out in these things, and we usually don't talk about it out loud. I get it.
Yeah, it's I'll throw on my glasses, but these are reflective. But
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. That totally makes sense. But that's cool. Like at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're providing the value to the people that are buying these NFTs.
Yeah,
and you can move forward depending on what the community is looking for. It's flexible in the sense that I don't want to say that there's a zero failure rate expectation, but it's very difficult to fail when you are able to scale the way you're talking about it, right? Like you're not taking a lot of risk at the end of the day. You're simply following, other people's leads in the community saying, hey, we want to mine this. Great, let's go do that. Or, we only minted X number of NFTs. Well, we're going to have less miners if that's the case. So it's pretty safe at the end of the day, especially at the prices that things are at right now. Like you couldn't have asked for a better time to kind of get into the game. And I get it. Like it's not a bull market where people are going to be just tossing dollar bills all over the place.
Right.
And just saying, yeah, here, take my money. But it's safe. And that's what I love. Like, I really do think that money is not always made, in the bull runs. The money is really made now. And then you get to take that money out when things pick up more and more, which is why I'm excited about this thing. I don't want to keep you too long, so
No, you're
let's
good.
wrap it up with you telling me what I didn't ask you, because at the end of the day, you always got something in your head. They were like, "Oh, I wish you had asked me that
Always.
thing." So, what was it?
Yeah, no, you're good at action. To bring up on that point, right? We've always had the mentality, and to a certain extent, it is true. Time in the market is better than timing the market. But when it comes to crypto specifically, and you can kind of see how the cycles work, and you look at the price points of ASICs, there definitely is a opportunity when it comes to timing markets, because the difference of timing and buying these same exact ASICs. There's nothing new, there's nothing additional. These same exact 110 terahash S19 Pros that costed $15,000 last November, or even last December, right? We weren't that far off from all-time highs. This time a year ago, were $12,000, $15,000. Right now, we're getting them. We can't say exactly what price points, but we're getting them at 1/10 the cost. Is relatively close. And so when you consider the opportunity, right, and there's additional value outside of the aspect of the NFTs themselves, right? Those have a derived inherent value based on perception. Everyone thinks something has or doesn't have value. But then on top of that, you've got an aspect of materialization of value, because the way that the NFTs are designed is every 6 months, the community decides on increasing hash rate through acquiring more miners. That inherently derives additional value to the hash rate of the NFTs to increase in hash rate. So theoretically, the way it's designed is these NFTs, they don't have a specific, they don't die off in 4 years or anything to that extent. As long as you own and hold the NFT, you are the one actively involved in the protocol. So the value is you're getting in at the near bottom. Is it the very bottom? Who knows? No one will really know. It's all hindsight 2020. But very much like, when back in 2020, everyone who got in when the vid happened, if you will, and Bitcoin was at 3,800, no one knew getting in at 3,800 and a $300 Ethereum was going to lead to a year and a half from there, 68,000 in a $4,000, $5,000 Ethereum. Like, no one knows that until a year, 2 years down the road. So I think the thing that we'll have and the opportunity we'll have is we'll look back on today's video and say, look at that. We knew exactly what was going to happen. We got into these price points, and the resale value of these same miners, in the next bull market, 10, 15 times what we're acquiring them for. All of that additional value goes directly back to the community. That's one of the things that we started this conversation off with, is like, what's the driving point of fraction mining? What inspires you? What drives you? And it's the fact that we can give back 94% of everything goes back directly to the service agreements and the contracts, which means it goes back to the community. You don't find that in a lot of projects. And that's something I'm very prideful of. I have a lot of pride in that. So usually pride is not a great thing, but that's something that definitely makes me pretty proud of the way that the project is structured. So with that said, I think one of the things to your last point is the community behind fraction mining and the YouTubers that we have, including yourself, a bunch of ones that we had during our Twitch live stream. Had a lot of great people there. And the impact that they can have to their communities is fantastic. And I don't think I've come across a project in the crypto space that's had as many YouTubers, as many communities behind a project as fraction mining. And that, for me, is what makes me excited, because your favorite YouTuber, which I know is me, and my favorite
obviously YouTuber, come on, everybody knows that.
And so, like, different people that we follow in whether it's your friend Andy, Hobbyist Miner, James Pelton, Yabonks, I've talked to Son of a Tech. I've talked to a bunch of guys that are all very excited. Some of them people like, some people don't like, but they're all excited about what we're doing, and being able to provide this opportunity to their communities and broaden our reach is what makes us very, very excited. Makes me very excited. And that's the last thing I think I want to leave everyone with. You'll see a lot. You'll see your face on our website soon, Action. So don't be upset about that. It'll be coming very soon. and you'll probably see a lot of other faces you'll recognize.
Awesome. Well, then with that, I'm gonna go mint a membership. I'll probably mint 2 memberships so I can give one away.
Nice.
It's usually how we roll. If like I get something, I want to make sure I'm giving something out, out as well. So, Alex, honestly, thank you not for just joining me, but like for what you're doing. Like at the end of the day, this is the type of thing that takes the entire space to the next level and brings greater adoption. I mean, I love mining. I don't think mining is for everyone, especially with costs being extremely high to do so. So you're bringing something of huge value to everybody that might not even realize it yet. So I do want to thank you for that. Like you're helping me mine. You're helping a lot of other people mine in ways that they would have never, thought possible. Maybe not only through the NFT aspect of it, but like taking advantage of technologies that are being wasted right now. So it's freaking amazing. Like I don't know how else to say it. Thank you, man. Like it's I'm pretty excited to get in this thing early on.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the opportunity you gave me to come on the channel. I don't know if this is the first time that we've actually had a conversation on the channel. I think it actually may be. So it's something exciting that this is the first time we do a collab, and it's about something that we're both very passionate about that has a broader impact than just ourselves.
100%, man. Thank you so much. And I'll see you around sometime making fun of you on the internet.
Sounds great, Action. We'll talk later.
All right, Alex, take care now.
Yeah.
All right, this is it. So you guys kind of heard about, fraction mining and understand now a little bit more what it's all about. I want to show you on their website how to mint this thing and how it kind of works out. It's Web 5 computing at your fingertips. They got a pretty cool tagline, let's be serious. But beyond that, this is what I was talking about, right? Like it's Alex. He's the guy. He's the main guy here, CEO and founder. There's a bunch of other people on the team. So it's not just something that they just, let me put this thing together and see if we can get money out of people by minting NFTs, which happens way too often in the space. And this is not it. This is the real deal, guys, and which is why I'm excited to talk about it. Now, here is the operations aspect of it. So the allocation, this is something I think is important for you all to understand. What's happening is that 70% of the rewards are going to go back to the people that are holding these NFTs. 24% is improvement in growth. So it's, buying new miners, taking care of operational, improvements. And 6% is to the team and partners. So it's not a big chunk of what they're doing, but it's a decent breakdown in my opinion. Just look at it as allocation of a token sometimes. This is like a good way to see if it's worthwhile or not. A lot of times when you see, comparative to tokens, you'll see that the team gets 30% of things. And this is not the case here. This is, 6% to team and partners. And that's marketing. That's a bunch of things that are going to go on, behind the scenes. So they're not trying to, become billionaires overnight for doing this. They should be rewarded for the work that they're doing, but it's reasonable. And here's the other piece that I wanted to share before I show you how to mint out. It's a roadmap, right? And right now, this is where we stand. Q4 of 2022. They're talking about getting partnerships off the ground. The deployment of miners and getting that stuff up and running is happening right now, and they are doing a beta release of the membership. The membership is for 2023, and I'll show you that in a second. Starting at the beginning of next year, they're going to update the website and expand the services. And here's the point that I actually want to cover. Kadena. They are looking at doing KDA as well as BTC. Right now, there are a few KDA mining projects out there, and I'm not telling you guys about this to discourage you from joining others. You got to look at what's the best bang for your buck. That's honestly what I want for you all, is for you to make good decisions. So it's not financial advice. It's me asking you to do your research and calculate which one makes the most sense. What leadership do you like best? I'm involved in multiple ones, and this is definitely one that I'm going to get involved in as well, because I like how it's operating. I like how things are, going to go down. Not only that, I'm going to be able to see how well they do with Bitcoin, and I can make that decision for the KDA aspect of mining when the time comes, which is a plus, right? It's not like, I'm going to go blindly into KDA. I love Kadena. Price stinks right now. So it's just a matter of now I get to see how these guys do with Bitcoin, and then I can make my decision about, Kadena down the line. But like I said, exciting stuff. Right from my main page here, you can go hit here the mint NFTs. Right now you can do the membership. Membership is for 2023. Pretty little graphic there. Straightforward. I'm going to connect my MetaMask wallet just so I can see how this thing actually works. We'll connect, loading data. There it is. The supply is 2,500. Sale is open. I'm going to mint. I do like Matic, how cheap it is to actually mint. So 25 bucks, it's costing me not very much to mint at all. So we're going to go ahead and hit confirm. So 31.25, that's how much Matic is going to go through. Transaction sent, and now I minted. It is that simple. And let me give you guys one of these. So just leave a comment down below, like I said, and I will draw one of you to get a free membership. Side note, and the whole membership thing is kind of cool because what they're doing, they're incentivizing people to have a membership to receive their reward. So your address for the receiving end is going to be on the NFT itself. But wait, that's not all. The mining NFTs are separate from this one, so people can actually trade it back and forth because there is a limited number of them. Will they mint out? I don't know. I know I'm going to mint something, that's for sure. But if they mint out, well, guess what? As the value of, crypto increases, long term, right? This is a 2023, membership, but as the value of Bitcoin goes up, as people see that, oh snap, this thing is real, they are making a lot of Bitcoin and people are able to earn a decent return on this. Well, those NFTs should go up in value. Again, not telling you that's how the future is going to go, not telling you any type of financial advice. It's just the way this process works. I mean, if NFTs with, no value behind them can moon, think about the ones that are awesome, that have, actual function and things that they actually provide you value with long term. Those are the ones that, end up taking off even more. Anyway, y'all got the info. Y'all know what's going on. I'm going to go try to make another video, give you more info on other projects, other things that are going on. But this is one that I'm going to stick around and report on over and over and over again as my rewards come in, because this is super cool and I'm excited about it. So y'all are great. Don't forget to leave that comment. Give it a like if you liked the video. If you didn't like it, that's okay too. The thumbs down button is always there. I mean, I cry. There's a tear that goes down every time that button gets hit, but it's okay. I'm totally joking. You're all awesome. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.